Hello again, and welcome to Strip Threads. I am your host, Michael. It is Wednesday. I go back to work on Friday, so this thing needs to be done within the next day. Today, tomorrow. According to FedEx's website, my calipers are still sitting in Troutdale, where they have been sitting for the last 3 or 4 days. These are my visors. They have been recoated. I don't know if you could hear behind me or not, but the rain has showed up. Good thing for the fires, but bad thing for getting stuff done. Just figuring out which one's right and which one's left. Okay, so like I said in one of the other videos, the first time around when I painted these visors, I just painted them, painted everything, painted over all the parts and whatever. This time around, of course, most of the paint had flaked off of the mount, and then the chrome shaft here, I just went through yesterday and kind of scraped it. It's got a little bit of rust on it, but I polished off most of that. So I'm going to leave them on like this. And, of course, that's one of today's jobs that I can get done pretty quick, if I can find all the screws, that is. I think I've got 3 out of the 4, maybe. And besides that, I'm pretty close to the end. There'll always be something to do on this truck, but, you never are truly finished, I guess, with the projects. But, let's see, is that where that one goes? Yeah, that's where that one goes. For most of the big things, big, moderate, and even larger small things, I'm done. Calipers are the big thing. I can't really drive it until those are done, but I've gotten all the other stuff done. Man, there really isn't too much left to do. Hopefully the windows don't leak, because I really don't want to see water in here. There's just a handful of little things I gotta do. That plate is a big thing. The calipers are a big thing. There's this hanger here, because I put the first-gen Courier air vent boxes in. They have a pull handle. The Couriers went from the pull handle to a plastic thing. I think between the first and second gen is when they changed them, but they just had a little flip lever, so you'd have to reach way under the dashboard and flip this little lever, and they always break off. So you find them, they're taped shut. They've got chunks of, foam, couch cushion material stuffed into them, stuff like that. These ones are all metal, but the only thing that ever fails on them is the gaskets, which, I've replaced or made new ones. But they've got that pull handle shaft. This 82, even though it had the plastic ones, it still had the hanger for the shaft on the driver's side. The other dashboard I got, I think, is out of a 79 or an 80. It's got the one on the driver's side, but nothing on the passenger side. However, the 2 holes were there for the spot welds. So I've got this one I tore off of the second gen when I took the air boxes off of it at the junkyard. I just need to drill a couple holes in it and bolt it up underneath the dashboard. Either that, or I'm just going to drill out the spot welds on that one and use it. Of course, then I have to paint it white and all that. A little bushing, got to put it back in there. But so I've got that to do today. I've got the visors to put back on today, if I can find the screwdriver. I can work on that plate today. I'm going to have to do something about this door hinge. I'll get you a close-up shot of that sometime, but the hinges are supposed to stop the travel of the door, and on the driver's side it's not really doing that until it makes contact with the door, and it's already chipped the paint and kind of bent the door a little bit, or dented the door a little bit where the hinges has hit it. I suppose the fix for that is to change the hinges, which means I gotta pull the fender off, I gotta paint the hinge, I gotta mount the hinge, I got to adjust the door, I got to, you know. The other idea is where the hinge is supposed to make contact. I think I could probably take a little piece of metal off of the headliner, you know, one of the little trimmings, and glue it to the inside of the hinge so that when it opens, that part makes contact. It's supposed to make contact there. Well, that little piece of metal will be there, and it'll take up the excess space, and the door will stop. Worst case scenario, it just pushes the piece of metal back off of it, and then I have to come up with something else. That's something to think about, something to do, maybe not right away. I still need to kind of trim some of this expanding foam that looks like hell, especially over there on the AC box. There's a couple little pieces of trim that go around here. They basically covered where the vinyl headliner came down and where the cardboard went up for the B-pillar. All that stuff I've done away with. But I've got the screw holes for that. There's actually two different types, so there's 4 screw holes there depending on which type of trim you had. The other thing, those need to be blasted because, you know, the plastic is real crispy. They need to be sandblasted, sanded, and painted again and put on. Some of the more long-term things that need to be done, I need to take one of those 3M stripping wheels that I love so much and maybe clean up the frame back there where it's all exposed. You know, it's rough looking, although it's probably not that rough, really. Hey, I do have all 4 screws. Yay. I need to clean up the frame and paint the frame. I need to paint the axle housing. A long time ago, I painted it yellow, and I think I'm just going to keep with that theme because, you know, the front suspension control arms are yellow. Anyway, the calipers were yellow. I'm probably just going to leave them powder coated, whatever color they come in. That is not the mirror for this side. But that's, again, that's more of a long-term thing. Some of the wiring back there needs to be cleaned up because it's really kind of gross. Neither one of these are fitting very well. Yeah, at some point, I think when the carpet was out of the truck, there were a couple small tears in it. And the carpeting in this truck really needs to be replaced, but it's still good enough to use, but, you know, definitely good enough that I don't need to go spend $150 on a new carpet for this thing. But I think a cat got it. So it smells in here like cat pee. I thought I smelled it before, but I cleaned the carpet. I shampooed the carpet really well with my pressure washer and all kinds of Dawn dish soap and hair shampoo and whatever. And I didn't smell it until it got real humid, and then the smell came out. So Christy says she's got some enzyme urine eater stuff. So I'll go through and shampoo the carpet again because I really can't stand the smell of cat pee. As much as I love my kitties, I don't like cat pee. So let's see, we're going to get started. No, we're started. We're definitely working here. Hopefully my damn calipers show up and then I can go do another test drive. Luke and I can load up and we'll go put a couple miles on this thing. If it seems okay, I'll drive it into town to get some gas because I don't know how much gas is in it. That was one of the disappointing things when I put the Courier gauge cluster in it instead of the Mazda cluster is all of a sudden my gas gauge and my temperature gauge are off. And they should be the same. They use the same sending units. All that stuff should be the same. Like when I went from the Courier to the Mazda, the gauge is all red, like they were supposed to. So now basically the gas gauge, if I remember correctly, because again it's been 4 months since I've driven this thing, the gas gauge reads empty when you still have about a quarter tank. Temperature gauge reads just above half, which isn't reading hot. It's just reading hotter than I'm used to. I don't like that. The gas gauge thing that really bugs me because it used to be accurate. Well, it was mostly accurate. When you were on empty, you were out of gas, but it would only read up to just above 3/4 of a tank, and then you were completely topped off. But it wouldn't read beyond that. Now it still doesn't read full, but it doesn't read. It goes well beyond empty as well, and that bugs the hell out of me. I guess I should count my blessings. Just be glad I have a gas gauge. So I might look into that some more sometime. Maybe not. What else? Kick panels. I don't think I have enough carpet to finish the kick panels. So we'll probably put those off for a while until I can get another roll of carpeting. O'Reilly, or the Leprechauns, when I worked there, that roll of carpeting was about $10. I looked up at the stuff where I work now, and it's about $25 for the same basic roll of carpeting, and that's with my employee discount. So I need to check the Leprechauns pricing and see, what the walk-in price was for those. We'll see what, see about getting another roll of that. I may actually cover this back panel here. It's cardboard and it's pretty rough looking. Or I may just put carpeting on it and no cardboard at all. Excuse me. Okay, those visors are on there. That one's bent. I never noticed that one being bent before. I've got tweeters that I'd like to put in here. I just have to find a place for them. I used to have them up here in the top corner of the A-pillar, and I ran the wiring, tucked it into the windshield gasket, and ran it down. I don't really want to drill more holes in the truck, but I may still end up doing it because they worked really well and it was a good placement for it. Not that I'm a big-time audiophile or anything like that, but I do like my tunes. I suppose if I was a big-time audiophile, I wouldn't be buying a $30 Chinese Bluetooth receiver for my tunes. Yeah, see, I need to work on like this vent for the AC and heater. All those things can be done later. They don't have to be done right now. The vent still works even without that part, And tuck up some wires underneath the dash here. Zip tie them to things, wrap some tape around them, maybe kind of hide them a little because they look rough. One thing I am very worried about is people trying to steal it. Not because it's valuable, not because it looks great, but just because they're easy to steal and it's somewhat opportunistic. I've got the steering wheel club, but those aren't really reliable. I've got a central locking kill system for it, but I've had cars stolen from me that the people towed them away with a rope, and the cops found them with the rope still on them, and the things were stripped. So I don't have much to take off of this truck. I mean, unless somebody had another Courier, in which case, for the most part, we're pretty well known in the circles. If anyone popped up all of a sudden, I think people would definitely take notice. Any of my parts turned up on it or something, Yeah, so I guess what I will do is probably work on that plate, get started on that plate. Wait for FedEx to show up. If they do, I'm just hoping that their tracking information is delayed or something. Alrighty, so until then, I'll go ahead and show you my visors. Okay, this is the dashboard that I cut out of in 79 or 80 out at the scrapyard, junkyard. I had to do it with a hammer and a wood chisel. The reason I got this was I was going to convert that 83 Mazda cab over to a Courier dash. Of course, I never got around to it, and this is what we've got. So what I need to do, like I was showing in the other video, I need to make a plate here, connect to here, connect to here, connect to there, and go over this. I got to take all these controls out of here right now. It needs to line up with this on the back flush, so I have to cut these two holes out for the lights. I'll probably have to grind these flat here, but I want it to sit right up flush to the back of that, and then the heater controls can go through it. Also, I mentioned before that my truck has the Courier XLT gauge cluster, so it has the ammeter here, gas gauge, temperature gauge, where this just has idiot lights and a gas gauge. And this is the correct speedometer for that year. It's got all this extra mumbo jumbo. It's got the kilometers in it. It's, you know, more cluttered looking. I didn't like it as much. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and film this as I tear this thing down, and hopefully you will be entertained. Get this taken off, and then we'll get the template started. Okay, so it looks like it needs to be roughly flush. Actually, if I bolted it flat to that thing, it would probably be enough. You get people trespassing out back all the time. So you hear a truck and they might be driving on the power line trails, which is technically illegal, but nobody really seems to care too much. But every now and then you get one coming up my back road, and a lot of times, you know, they're not back there on purpose. They just took the wrong road. But every now and then they're back there screwing around with something of mine, and you usually take off pretty quick if you go out there holding a loaded rifle. There goes FedEx, they're on time. I don't know about you guys, but I've never had any real good, happy feelings about my shipments when they come FedEx. They never seem to come on time, and there's always something, you know. This FedEx Smart Post is even worse, because it's like, you know, hey, we're not really getting paid much for the shipping. You know, you went through the post office or whoever, so we're just going to let it sit. Next time, go through us directly type of attitude, I'm not a patient man. So the ashtray hanger has these really nice little screws here that have a Phillips head on them. They're very flat, so they won't interfere with anything, rather than these little guys here with an 8mm head, hex head. So I'm going to use those. You can see the difference here. Thought about taking the gauge cluster out of it, but actually I kind of need it to be in there. That way I know where things are when it's all assembled. It's one of the things I was talking about in the other video, where the earlier Couriers had the ignition switch in the dashboard. The 82 did not. It's on the column. It doesn't have a hole. So all those other pieces I have, even though they're in nicer shape, they have that hole. I may or may not end up actually using it. Just put a switch or something in it, you know, but we'll see. Now we're going to have to cut these two holes out. In the past life, I didn't used to be so patient. And I would have just hacked the holes through there with a dull knife and tore it all up and had the holes kind of halfway where they needed to be. Not been real happy with the results. Even though it would have been my own damn fault. I have learned, and I have tried to teach my son, that, you know, basically never set yourself up for failure. Never plan that, okay, this thing's going to be done. I'm going to pull this engine out, rebuild it, and be at work tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. You know, no, it's not going to happen. Maybe you'd pull it off, but why? You know, you're going to kill yourself doing it, and you're just going to be miserable the next day, and your whole experience is going to be tied around that misery. All the stress and anxiety of trying to get it done. Once you do get it done, it's not going to be tuned right. It's not going to be right. You're going to drive it to work. It's not going to be running right. You're going to be upset. You're going to be tired and miserable all day. You're going to come home, and you're not going to want to leave it. You're going to want to get it, all the little bugs out of it, all the tuning done, so you're going to be even more tired. Why? Set it up, okay, I've got a weekend, maybe I can get some things done, but I've got my other car I can drive, so maybe we'll do some work after work. we'll get it done. I seriously thought that I could do all of this stuff to the Courier on my 2-week furlough. And yeah, I was wrong. It's kind of like I got the cab painted early on. I might have got it done in those 2 weeks, I don't remember, but so the cab was painted and sitting there, and I finally got around to getting all the rest of the body parts painted. And I kind of set that up myself, because I knew that I would cut corners. You know, I'd have everything painted, so I'm going to throw this truck together. Well, you know, then you got to work on everything, and you're leaning over fenders that are going to, you know, they're paper thin, so they're going to dent really easy. And, you know, dinging up doors and stuff like that. You know. So I didn't want to assemble the whole truck until it was pretty well ready, you know, to be assembled. So when I finally did get around to painting them, I didn't have enough room here in this carport to paint it. And so I went out to the our chicken coop. We got rid of the chickens after the raccoons killed all but one of them. And I tied everything up out there, but by the time I got everything prepped and done, I actually sprayed the stuff at dusk. Pacific Northwest, it was a sunny day. It was a sunny night. It was a sunny morning. But it's cold and humid here, and cool and humid here. So I painted everything, and you can imagine what happened. I ended up with a whole crap ton of runs, a lot of insects, and everything dried gold. So I don't know if it was the humidity or the cold that did it, but the gloss was gone. Like, the fenders were hanging kind of at an angle, face down, so the lower half of the fenders had sun gloss. So everything came out like crap, and it kind of, you know, kind of broke my spirit a bit on the project, and I didn't really want to work on anything for a while after that, but I had to, you know, so I started thinking about it, and I took the day off of those parts, and I got on other things. And then, so I think 2 days had gone by, and I finally said, okay, we're going to give that another crack. So I sanded all the runs out, and there was a lot of orange peel. I had a lot of issues with that both of my HVLP guns. And it could most likely be my fault, but one of them was a Finex SATA detail gun that I tried to use on the stripes, and that gun has never worked right. It didn't work right for the guy that gave it to me. He tried using it twice. I tried using it 3 times. I finally threw it away. The other one's a Harbor Freight gun. It was brand new. Pulled it right out of the box and used it here, and it didn't work. It didn't work right. Just a lot of texture went down. It was real dry. I played with the air. I played with the fuel. I played with the pressures. I played with everything. Couldn't get it to spray right. So I ended up with a lot of texture, like almost bedliner texture. So I whipped out my old Harbor Freight gun that's always worked great, non-HVLP, and it did great. It did fine. It laid the paint down real nice. No runs, you know. Great gloss. But I sanded down all the runs. I sanded down all the orange peel, except on the passenger door. The passenger door didn't have any problems other than some texture, so I left it. And I kind of wish I would have sanded it, because the texture is a little bit more, like you look at all the other panels and there's a lot less texture than what's on that one. And I know that throughout this whole video, there's probably a bunch of you people out there that are just screaming at your phones, screaming at your computers. You know, that's not how you're supposed to do that. But, you know, I'm not trained or in the field. See, I don't want to take this apart again for this. See if I can just
Everything is so damp right now, even this little cardboard piece, even though it hasn't been in the wet, it's damp. It doesn't have any strength to it. Okay. What's holding me up now? Trim those a little bit. Bottom looks good. Sides look good, although I can actually make those a little narrower. I'm going to go ahead and mark the opening for the stereo. Even though I'm not going to be cutting it out this big, I want to know where it is. Because I'm only going to actually use the bottom edge. I want to cut the bottom edge out and cut the hole out exactly the right size of that Bluetooth thing, and then I'll just fold the bottom edge in and it'll kind of support the thing. It's not real heavy or anything, but I want to have it there for that. Now this is sitting just about where I want it to sit. And I think once, if it were metal and not, you know, this piece of cardboard, it would sit exactly where. There's about a 1/16 of an inch clearance on the bottom side, even though the top half is sitting right where it needs to sit. I just need to hit this, trim those out. You can't really see, I don't think, in the video, but there's a little bit of a bow in the cardboard. So I think if it were metal and tight, it'd be sitting right where it needed to be. Okay. So I've got a piece of metal over there. It's a decent gauge. It's not real flimsy. It's not real thick either. Galvanized. Not that that really matters. It came out of my next door neighbor's furnace. He brought it over one day. He says, "Here, you could probably use this." Sure enough, I can. So I need to mark it. I need to go somewhere else because I can't paint in here with the truck here, or I can't cut with the truck here. I don't want to risk throwing sparks on everything. I don't want to pull the truck out in the rain just yet. There's a pretty good layer of dust on top of the cab. I don't know how much metal's in that dust, so I need to wash it in one shot rather than just let it get wet and stay wet. So I'm going to have to move that over to another room before I do the cutting, but I can mark everything here. Of course, everything's soaking wet. Yay! Labels on it. COVID. Stickers. So this dirt off. Water off. May or may not paint this black. Probably won't bother. Just leave it. But you won't be able to see it anyway. I plan on making a little panel that'll sit inside of that where the old controls used to go. Just kind of sandwich it down, but that piece will come off real easy. going to do sit in there a little better. There's a lot to be said about emotion being tied to memory. Like what I was just saying a little bit ago. If you're building something and your first thing out of your mouth is, God, that, took hours and hours and hours, and oh, we had to do this and that, and it didn't work quite right, and all these things, that's not really a good thing. Especially if you're thinking about, hey, I'm going to build another Chevelle. But the last one was such a pain in the ass. Now, I don't know about for everybody yet. I have ADHD, ADD, whatever the hell you call it. I don't take anything for it. I refuse to. I'm not a tweaker. My son has it as well. He's a lot worse. Like, he cannot sit through the school day without getting up and doing stuff and pissing the teacher off. So for me, I want to look at the project and say, I can finish this in 2 days. And there's just no way in hell you can do that. But I've had to force myself to take everything in kind of small bites. Like today's project is going to be this. This is today's goal. I'm going to have this thing done today. Forward momentum is one thing I've mentioned. If you're finishing your goals every day, even if you finish extra goals, you're keeping that forward momentum. So yes, I had a good day today. I got a lot done. Tomorrow I'm going to get back after it. Next weekend I'm going to get back after it. I've got these goals done. A whiteboard is a great thing. You write everything down. This is all the stuff that needs to be done. This is the stuff I'm going to do today. When you lose forward momentum, kind of like when I painted all those parts in the chicken coop and it failed me horribly. I failed it. It's kind of hard to get started again. Because you're so disgusted by where you ended up. You don't really want to pick up and go again. You have too many days like that, projects get stalled, they get sold for pennies on the dollar, and then you hate them forever. It used to happen to me a lot. I had these grandiose ideas, and you can't quite get there. Hell, a lot of times you can't even get close. And then your projects stall out because you lost your forward momentum. Like in my case, it was, you get the car and you work on it, you do all this stuff for free, you clean it out, you take your old hood or your old trunk lid or old door skin and you make some floorboards, you do stuff like that, and then when it comes time to, okay, now I got to buy wheel cylinders and a master cylinder to get this car back on the road, and it's like, okay, so now I got to spend some real money on it, and that's just not going to happen. So you have to let it sit while you wait until you get some money, or you get to a point that it's beyond your skill level, and you know it's beyond your skill level. You have no delusions that you can tackle it, but you don't have the money to pay somebody to do it. And so, you know, okay, well, we're going to wait until I can save up some money. Well, life happens. You know, you have to take care of other things and spend your money on other things that are definitely more important than a car. So you lose forward momentum. And it just sits and sits and sits. And it's kind of hard to recapture that because the last memory you had was a bad one. You know, you're like, oh yeah. I don't know if that's part of our body's defense mechanism or what, but it's just the nature of the beast, I guess. You don't want to get that project restarted because you left a bad taste in your mouth. Okay, so I need to move this thing over to one of the other tarp sheds and cut it all out. We will be back when it's cut. I'll probably go ahead and do the cutting and drilling and whatnot over there, and then I'll come back here when I'm ready to start fitting it. See you guys soon. Okay, so here we are. The plate is made. The Bluetooth receiver will go right in here. The plan is to cut out along this line here and then bend it in, and it will sit as a shelf for the receiver. You've got these 3 screws here. I'll drill them out and bolt it to it. And this is the cover. So this will all get cut out, and the control cables will get bolted to this piece of metal right here, and there's more than enough strength there to handle the cables. So we'll be back at you here in just a little bit as soon as we get this cut. So here we go. We got the knobs in, we got it cut out, we got the Bluetooth receiver in there. There's a broken tab up here, there's a broken tab down here. Kind of need those to hold this thing in place. There aren't any other tabs anywhere except over on this side and up above. This thing actually works really well. Let's see. So if you like what you see, this one was about 35 bucks, but most of the ones I buy, they're a lot smaller. You just kind of hide them up underneath the dashboard, and they are about 15 bucks or so a piece. So, you know, red lights, power, blue lights, Bluetooth. Let's see if I can get this thing to play here. My phone is full, so it's not letting me play a lot of this stuff. Let's see. So we got all that done. That's about, I guess, the only thing I got done today, even though that was quite a bit. I did get the slider, put some Sil Glide on the slider, so that works a lot better. Let's see. Oh, here we go.
You will calm down. Put the phone on the table.
So, like the one that's in the Jeep, it has 99 EQ settings on it, but they all sound kind of flat. This one has treble and bass control plus volume. You got your USB port. You've got your 3.5 millimeter port. So you can hook up a lot of things on this one. I'm real happy with it. I may take all this back apart, pull those screws out, and then just double side tape it to that shelf that's in there and have it stick out further, and then just make a cover for it. Or I might make something recessed. I'll probably do the former rather than the latter. Let's see. Yeah, I still got to work on the kick panels. My calipers didn't show today, so... Okay, end of a long day. Getting towards the end of a long week. I actually have to go back to work on Friday. My calipers didn't come, so tomorrow will be the last day I can work on it before I have to go to work. If they don't show up, I can't drive it with the calipers driving, so I'll have to drive the Jeep for the next couple days before I start the week all over. So today, I got the plate done. Got it mounted, got the Bluetooth receiver mounted, I got the HVAC control cables mounted. There's a couple broken tabs on this panel, so I gotta do something about that. Tomorrow I'm gonna set out to do the calipers if they show up. I don't think I have enough carpet to do the kick panels, but I have them. I just need to clean them up and glue the carpet to them, so I'll have to get some more carpet for that. I need to work on this vent. None of that's real pressing, but God, I'm so close, Especially now that the dashboard's put back together. That was a big gaping hole of ugliness, so it's done. Steering wheel, I got another banjo wheel. I need to sandblast it and paint it. Yeah, that's about it. It's about time to go in and get something to drink, and I could say a cool snack, but I don't really do cool snacks, so I guess some Kool-Aid in there maybe. So yeah, we'll be back out here tomorrow to do something, get something done on it, and you guys will be right there with me. So until then, you guys take care of yourself.